Well, just first off, thank you so much for coming by. I appreciate your time. I know, time is limited, time is money, so I do appreciate you coming here, especially, since we're both in healthcare. I appreciate it. So I just want to say that off the bat.
Yeah, my
Um,
pleasure.
so I mean, basically, I have a lot of great history. I've started off probably like 7 years of floor nursing, and that's like in different capacities. I worked in hemodialysis. I've worked in post-op, med surge. I've been doing like care management, I have to say, in the past 10 years.
Okay.
you know so I feel that a lot of my skills would transfer nicely into a remote position, because a lot of the I did utilization and care management, pre-discharge planning, post-discharge planning. I did a little bit of uh, we call transitional care. When someone's discharged, following up with them, just to kind of get like stats for like to prevent readmission rates and things of that nature. Um, so I kind of, I have like, honestly, I mean, I'm not working. I could just go back to work, and just get like my contacts, but I'm trying to break into a remote position, and I'm kind of having a hard time in doing so. I don't know if it's, I'm just getting caught up with the whole algorithms, maybe my resume is not hitting certain keywords or something, but
Okay.
um, the problem I'm having is that I know that my experience and my abilities can do a remote position, but technically I don't have a telehealth or remote experience. And I don't
Okay.
know if that's hurting against me in the algorithm. So I don't know. I'm just trying to get what's your take on that?
Gotcha. So thanks for that, Bella. Giving me a little bit of background there. Um, in my years of working with nurses, I always say that nurses have the best racket in the game. Like you guys can go anywhere, and I think you mentioned that, right? Like you're like, if I wanted to just go back and do this, somebody would take me back, and then I would start working again, right? There's no shortage of jobs for nurses. Um, in terms of breaking into like doing more remote work, I think where nurses tend to fall short is their resumes, right? Because they're in such high demand, they don't have to be as diligent with their resumes as like a business person or like an analyst or something like that, right? They've got to put all of these kind of measurable things that nurses don't necessarily have to. They're like, I'm a hemodialysis nurse, like you were, and then somebody in a hemodialysis clinic or an area in the hospital would just snatch that nurse up because they need the nurse. So one thing I would tell you is just to take a look at your resume, maybe I can help out and taking a look at the resume, or if you have like or somebody who does resumes on I guess as a business, can take a look at the resume and kind of frame things out a little bit more for you. I haven't seen your resume, obviously, but maybe that's a thing, right? It's just like, hey, I'm a nurse, and these are the places that I've worked. So why aren't you taking me? Right? That may be one of the things. So I would encourage you to just take a look at your resume, see where things may be able to get expanded out on the resume to tell a little bit more of the story, and that should help you out in turn with like catching a recruiter's eye. One of the other things that I would mention too in the resume is to be able to highlight your technical skills, right? You're looking for a remote position. So if you are well versed in Zoom or Teams or Skype or Slack or any one of those um, uh, video modalities, right? You want to be able to highlight those pieces or any of the technical skills that you have. It may not necessarily need to be like a video piece, but you want to highlight your technical skills because it'll be, even though you'll be doing something clinical, it will live in a more digital space, if that makes sense. Um, and I've personally seen, which is weird. I always think hiring managers are weird about this, but um, because this change is kind of fairly new in healthcare. Like, oh, I don't want to say fairly new, more widely accepted now. I've seen hiring managers say, oh, this person doesn't have experience in the technical world. And I'm like, the pandemic just happened 2 years ago, right? Like not everybody was behind a computer.
Right.
So trying to get hiring managers to kind of understand that. But again, in looking at those resumes, those nurses weren't able to tell that story on their resumes. So so what I'm advising you to do is just be able to tell the story of your technical ability, to be able to so it translates to the recruiter and then subsequently the hiring manager, if that's the way that the funnel works, if that makes sense.